Let's be real. Building good habits and breaking bad ones isn't easy. We all start with the best intentions, but somewhere along the way, life gets in the way. You promise yourself you'll start waking up early, eating healthier, or finally stop procrastinating. But a few weeks or days in, you slip back into old patterns. Sound familiar? You are definitely not alone. The truth is, changing habits isn't about willpower, it's about having the right approach. Most of us try to do too much too fast, and when it doesn't work, we get frustrated and give up. But what if there was a better way? A way that actually works, feels natural, and doesn't require superhuman discipline? That's exactly what we are talking about today. I've got 15 simple, practical strategies that will help you create good habits that stick and finally break the bad ones that are holding you back. No complicated hacks, no unrealistic expectations, just real, doable steps that can make a big difference. So, if you are interested, let's get into it. Start small but stay consistent. We have all been there, getting super excited about a new habit and deciding to go all in from day one. You tell yourself, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. every day, or I'll work out for an hour daily, or no more sugar starting now. And for a day or two, maybe even a week, you are doing great. But then life happens. You miss a day, then another, and before you know it, you are right back where you started. It's frustrating, right? The problem isn't you, it's the approach. Big drastic changes can feel exciting, but they are hard to maintain. That's why starting small is so important. Instead of trying to overhaul your entire routine overnight, focus on tiny improvements. Want to wake up earlier? Try setting your alarm just 15 minutes earlier instead of jumping straight to 5 am. Want to exercise more? Start with just 5 minutes a day. It might not seem like much, but small, consistent actions add up over time. The key here is consistency over intensity. A tiny step today is way better than an unrealistic leap that you'll abandon in a week. Think of it like planting a seed. You don't expect a tree to grow overnight, but with daily care, it will grow. So start small, stick with it, and let the habit build naturally. Habit stacking. Attach new habits to existing ones. You know how some things in your routine just happen without you thinking about them? Like brushing your teeth in the morning or making coffee right after waking up? That's because they are solid habits ingrained in your daily routine. Now, imagine if you could attach a new habit to something you're already doing. It would feel way easier, right? That's exactly how habit stacking works. Instead of trying to force a habit into your day and hoping you'll remember it, you simply pair it with an existing habit. Let's say you want to start flossing every day. Rather than telling yourself, I'll floss every night before bed, make it specific. I'll floss right after I brush my teeth. Since brushing is already part of your routine, flossing naturally follows. The same trick works for anything. Want to drink more water? Take a sip before every meal. Trying to get into journaling? Write one sentence while your morning coffee brews. Want to improve posture? Stretch for 30 seconds right after you stand up from your desk. By linking a new habit to something familiar, it becomes easier to remember and stick with. The best part, it doesn't feel like extra effort because you are piggybacking on something you already do. So think about your existing habits and find ways to stack new ones on top. You'll be surprised how effortlessly they stick. Make it easy. Set yourself up for success. Let's be honest, if something feels like a hassle, you are probably not going to do it. That's why making habits as easy as possible is a game changer. If you have ever struggled to stick with a habit, chances are it wasn't because you lacked motivation. It was probably because the habit required too much effort or wasn't convenient enough. Think about it. If you want to start reading more but your book is buried under a pile of stuff on your desk, what are the chances you'll actually grab it before bed? But if it's sitting right next to your pillow, you are way more likely to read a few pages. It's all about reducing friction between you and your good habits. Here's how you can make things easier. If you want to work out, lay out your gym clothes the night before. If you want to eat healthier, keep fresh fruits on the counter instead of chips. If you're trying to drink more water, keep a bottle on your desk or beside your table. The less effort required, the more likely you'll follow through. On the flip side, if you want to break a bad habit, make it inconvenient. Trying to cut down on social media? Move the apps off your home screen or set a time limit. Want to stop eating junk food? Store it on the highest shelf, or best, don't buy it at all. The harder something is to do, the less likely you'll do it. Small changes like these might not seem like much, but they remove obstacles and make it easier for you to stay consistent. And when something is easy, you are way more likely to stick with it. Set identity based goals. Become the person who does the habit. Most of us set goals like, I want to work out 3 times a week, or I want to eat healthier. And while there's nothing wrong with that, the problem is that these goals focus on what you want to do, but not who you want to become. Here's the thing, when you shift your focus from just the action to your identity, the habit becomes a natural part of who you are. Instead of saying, I want to run 3 times a week, try telling yourself, I'm someone who loves running. Instead of saying, I want to eat healthy, think, I am a person who makes nutritious choices. Why does this work? Because when you see yourself a certain way, your actions start aligning with your identity. If you truly believe you are a runner, skipping a workout will feel like you are going against who you are. If you see yourself as a healthy eater, reaching for junk food won't feel right. Your habits become a reflection of your identity rather than something you have to force yourself to do. Start small. Ask yourself, what kind of a person would naturally do this habit? Then start acting like that person even in tiny ways. Want to be a reader? Carry a book with you. Want to be a fit person? Walk instead of taking the elevator. Every small action reinforces your new identity, and over time, the habit becomes effortless. The key is to believe in your new identity, even before it fully feels like you. Once you start thinking of yourself as the type of person who does the habit, it stops feeling like a chore and starts feeling like just part of who you are. Use the 2-minute rule. Make starting effortless. One of the biggest reasons we struggle with habits is that they feel overwhelming. The thought of exercising for an hour, writing a whole journal entry, or meditating for 20 minutes can feel like too much, so we put it off. But what if you only had to do 2 minutes of the habit? That feels doable, right? That's the power of the 2-minute rule. Instead of thinking about the entire habit, just focus on the first tiny step. Want to start meditating? Don't commit to 20 minutes. Just sit down and take one deep breath. Want to start reading more? Read one sentence. Want to exercise? Do one push-up. These tiny actions might seem silly, but they lower the mental barrier to starting. The thing is, once you start, you are way more likely to keep going. If you sit down for one deep breath, chances are you'll stay for a few more. If you open a book and read one sentence, you'll probably read a few pages. The hardest part of any habit is getting started, and this trick makes that part effortless. Even on days when you are tired or unmotivated, just doing 2 minutes is manageable. And if that's all you do, that's still a win because you are keeping the habit alive. Over time, these small beginnings add up, and before you know it, the habit no longer feels like a struggle. It becomes second nature. So the next time you feel resistance towards a habit, shrink it down. Just focus on the first 2 minutes. Once you are in motion, the rest takes care of itself. Track your progress. Celebrate small wins. Have you ever started a new habit, felt motivated for a few days, and then suddenly lost steam? One of the biggest reasons people give up on habits is because they don't see immediate results. You start eating healthier, but your energy levels don't change overnight. You start exercising, but you don't see muscles in a week. This can be frustrating. That's why tracking your progress is so important. It helps you see how far you have come, even when the results aren't obvious yet. When you track something, you create visible proof of your effort. A simple checklist, a habit tracker in your planner, or an app can make a huge difference. Each time you check off a completed habit, your brain gets a little hit of dopamine, the feel-good chemical that keeps you motivated. And let's be real, once you have built a streak, you don't want to break it. If you have exercised for 5 days in a row, you'll be more likely to keep going just to keep that streak alive. Even small habits like drinking more water or journaling for a minute feel rewarding when you see the consistent progress. The key is to focus on consistency, not perfection. If you miss a day, don't stress. Just get back on track the next day. The goal isn't to be perfect, but to keep moving forward. And don't forget to celebrate your progress, whether it's treating yourself to a little reward or just taking a moment to acknowledge your effort. Tracking your progress helps you stay motivated and actually enjoy the journey. Reward yourself the right way. Make your habits enjoyable. Let's be real. Sticking to a new habit can feel like a struggle at first. You are trying to convince your brain to do something different, and that's not always easy. But you know what makes habits way more fun? Rewards. When your brain associates a habit with something positive, you are much more likely to keep doing it. The trick is to reward yourself in a way that reinforces your habit, not in a way that works against it. For example, if your goal is to exercise regularly, rewarding yourself with junk food might send mixed signals. Instead, treat yourself to a relaxing massage, a new workout outfit, or an extra long shower. Something that makes you feel good without undoing your progress. If you're trying to read more, you could reward yourself with a cozy reading nook or a new book after finishing a certain number of chapters. If you're building a journaling habit, maybe you need a nice new notebook or a fancy pen. The key is to make the habit itself feel rewarding, so you actually want to keep doing it. Another fun trick: pair your habit with something enjoyable. If you hate doing chores but love podcasts, only listen to your favorite show while cleaning. If you want to build a running habit, create a playlist of songs you only listen to when you run. These little incentives make habits feel less like work and more like something you look forward to. At the end of the day, habits shouldn't feel like punishments. If you can find ways to make them fun and rewarding, you'll be way more likely to stick with them in the long run. Find an accountability partner. Stay on track with support. Sticking to a new habit is way harder when you're doing it alone. There's no one to check in on you, no one to remind you why you started, and no one to give you that little push when motivation fades. That's why having an accountability partner can be a game changer. Think about it. If you promise yourself you'll wake up early for a morning workout, it's easy to hit snooze and go back to sleep. But if you know your friend is waiting for you at the gym, you are way more likely to show up because you don't want to let them down. Having someone else involved in your journey keeps you accountable and makes it harder to quit. Your accountability partner doesn't have to be doing the exact same habit as you. They just need to be someone who checks in on your progress, encourages you, and reminds you of your goals when you feel like giving up. You can even set up a simple system, text each other updates, share weekly progress, or even create friendly challenges to stay motivated. And if you don't have a specific person in mind, you can still create accountability in other ways. Join an online group, announce your goals on social media, or use an app that tracks your habits and progress. The key is to make sure your habit isn't just something you hope to do, it's something others expect from you too. At the end of the day, knowing that someone else is cheering you on makes the process much more fun and motivating. So find your person or community and keep each other accountable. You'll be amazed at how much easier it is to stick with your habit. Reframe your mindset about failure. Progress over perfection. You start a new habit with so much motivation, but then life happens. You miss a workout, forget to journal, or have an unhealthy meal. And suddenly that little voice in your head says, "Well, I've already messed up, might as well quit altogether." Sound familiar? Here's the truth. Missing one day doesn't ruin your progress. Giving up does. The key is to not let a small slip turn into a complete stop. Think about it this way. If you drop your phone, you don't throw it on the ground and smash it completely, right? You just pick it up and keep going. Your habits work the same way. Instead of seeing mistakes as failures, see them as part of the process. No one is perfect. Even the most disciplined people miss workouts, forget to meditate, or have days where they eat junk food. What sets successful people apart is that they don't dwell on the slip up. They just get back on track. One of the best ways to reframe your mindset is to focus on progress, not perfection. If you miss a day, remind yourself that one mistake doesn't erase all the effort you have already put in. Just pick up where you left off without guilt or frustration. And here's a little secret. The more you practice bouncing back quickly, the easier it becomes. Over time, small setbacks won't shake you anymore, and your habits will become something you naturally return to no matter what life throws your way. So if you ever slip up, just take a deep breath, reset, and keep moving forward. You've got this. Limit decision fatigue. Make habits easier by simplifying choices. Have you ever felt exhausted at the end of the day even if you didn't do anything physically demanding? That's decision fatigue, the mental drain that comes from making too many choices throughout the day. And the more decisions you have to make, the harder it becomes to stick to your habits. Think about it. If you wake up and have to decide what workout to do, what to wear, what to eat, and what to fit everything into your schedule, you're already using up valuable mental energy before the day even starts. By the time you actually get around to doing the habit, you might feel too drained to follow through. That's why simplifying your decisions makes sticking to habits so much easier. One of the best ways to limit decision fatigue is to plan ahead. If you want to work out regularly, don't decide in the moment. Schedule your workouts in advance. Lay out your gym clothes the night before or follow a set program so you don't have to think about what to do. If you want to eat healthier, meal prep so you always have good options ready instead of scrambling to find something nutritious when you're already hungry. Many successful people simplify their choices in different ways. Wearing a capsule wardrobe, sticking to a morning routine, or even eating similar meals throughout the week. The less time you spend deciding, the more time and energy you have for actually doing the habit. So if you ever feel like you are struggling to stay consistent, ask yourself, are my choices making this harder than it needs to be? Find ways to simplify, automate, and remove unnecessary decisions, and you'll notice how much easier it becomes to follow through. Cut out negative influences. Surround yourself with what supports your goals. Have you ever noticed how much your environment shapes your habits? It's like when you are around people who love junk food, you suddenly find yourself craving chips and soda. Or when your friends constantly skip workouts, it's way easier to say, I'll skip today too. The truth is, we absorb the habits of the people and influences around us, often without even realizing. That's why if you're trying to build better habits, it's important to take a hard look at what and who is influencing you. If you want to quit smoking but most of your friends smoke, resisting that urge becomes a daily battle. If you're trying to be healthier but your social media feed is full of fast food and late night snacking content, guess what? You'll be tempted to follow those same patterns. So how do you fix this? Surround yourself with people, content, and environments that support your goals. If you want to be healthier, start following fitness influencers who inspire you. If you're trying to build a reading habit, join a book club or follow people who love books. If your friends constantly encourage bad habits, you don't have to cut them out completely, but you can set boundaries and spend more time with people who uplift you. It's also about controlling your space. Keep unhealthy snacks out of the house if you want to eat better. Set up a cozy reading nook if you want to read more. Make it easier to succeed by shaping your surroundings to match the habits you want to build. Because when you remove the constant temptation, sticking to your goals becomes so much easier. Focus on one habit at a time. Avoid overwhelm and stay consistent. Have you ever felt super motivated to change your life overnight? You wake up one morning and decide, that's it. I'm going to eat healthy, work out every day, meditate, wake up at 5 a.m., read more books, and quit scrolling on my phone. Sounds amazing, right? But the reality hits. By day 3, you are exhausted, overwhelmed, and struggling to keep up with everything. Eventually, you just give up totally. That's because trying to change too much at once is a recipe for burnout. It's like juggling 100 things at the same time. Eventually, everything falls apart. Instead of overwhelming yourself, start with just one habit. Pick the one that will have the biggest impact on your life and focus on making it stick before adding anything else. For example, if you want to be healthier, start by building a consistent workout habit. Once that feels natural, then focus on improving your diet. Or if you want to improve your productivity, start by setting a morning routine, and once that's solid, add in a new time management techniques. The way is to master one habit before moving on to the other. When something becomes second nature, it requires less mental effort, making room for the next habit. This way, you are stacking small wins, which keeps you motivated. So, if you're trying to change your life, remember, you don't have to do everything at once. Small, steady changes are far more powerful than big, unsustainable overhauls. Focus on one thing, make it part of your routine, and then move on to the next. That's how real lasting change happens. Have a strong why, the secret to staying committed. Let's be real. Starting a new habit is easy, isn't it? The first few days are exciting and motivation is high, but what happens when the initial excitement fades? When you are tired, busy, or just not in the mood? This is where most people struggle, and the difference between those who succeed and those who quit comes down to one thing: a strong why. If your reason for building a habit is weak, you won't stick with it. Saying, I want to wake up early isn't enough. Why do you want to wake up early? If your reason is so I can work on my side business and create financial freedom, or so I have quiet time to take care of my mental health before the day gets hectic, suddenly it feels more meaningful. Your why gives you purpose. It reminds you why this habit matters even on the tough days. Without it, it's too easy to fall back into old patterns when things get hard. The best way to solidify your why is to write it down and keep it visible on your phone, your mirror, or even as a reminder in your planner. Also, dig deeper than surface level goals. Instead of I want to lose weight, think I want to be healthy so I can have more energy, feel confident, and be around longer for my family. When your reason connects to your emotions, it becomes powerful. So before you start any new habit, take a moment to ask yourself, why does this matter to me? When your reason is strong, quitting won't be an option. You'll find a way to keep going no matter what. Practice patience and self-compassion. Progress, not perfection. Building new habits isn't always smooth sailing. Some days you'll feel super motivated and on top of things, other days you'll slip up, feel frustrated, and wonder if you are even making progress. But here's the thing, progress isn't about being perfect, it's about being consistent. Too often we expect instant results. We start a new habit and hope to see big changes overnight. But habits take time to stick, and real progress happens in small daily improvements. If you're trying to eat healthier, one unhealthy meal doesn't undo everything. If you're trying to work out regularly, skipping a session doesn't mean you have failed. The key is not to let a small slip turn into an excuse to give up entirely. Instead of being hard on yourself, practice self-compassion. Treat yourself like you would a friend. If a friend messed up, you wouldn't say, wow, you are terrible at this. You might as well quit. No, you'd remind them that mistakes happen and encourage them to keep going. So why not extend that same kindness to yourself? A great way to stay patient is to celebrate small wins. Maybe you didn't complete your full workout, but you moved your body. That's still progress. Maybe you didn't meditate for 10 minutes, but you took a few deep breaths to reset. That counts too. Over time, these small efforts add up, and before you know it, your habit will feel like second nature. So don't let setbacks define your journey. Be patient with yourself, focus on steady progress, and trust that every small step is bringing you closer to your goal. Because in the long run, consistency beats perfection every time. So at the end of the day, building better habits and breaking bad ones isn't about making huge dramatic changes. It's about small, consistent steps that add up over time. The key is to start where you are, focus on one habit at a time, and make your environment work for you instead of against you. And most importantly, be patient with yourself. Change doesn't happen instantly, but every small step you take is bringing you closer to the life you want. Remember, you are not aiming for perfection, you are aiming for progress. If you slip up, don't be too hard on yourself. Just get back on track and keep moving forward. The most successful people aren't the ones who never fail, but the ones who refuse to quit. So as you go forward, ask yourself, what's one small habit I can start today? Whether it's drinking more water, reading for 5 minutes, or putting your phone away before bed, every little effort counts. And hey, if you found this video helpful, share it with someone who can benefit from it. And let me know what habits you are working on right now. I'd love to hear about your journey. Thank you for watching, and remember, you have the power to change your habits, and in doing so, you can change your life. Until next time, keep growing.